Boom, we are back. Off 1 week and back at it. So really excited to be back again. So last week, well, a lot of you guys know. So we've been busy with kind of some of the Makers stuff, which I figured, well, we'll talk a little bit about Makers fresh off of doing a nice little pick with a few people. That was a ton of fun. So we'll kind of get into a little bit of that here pretty soon. So yeah, I'll tell you, like last week, I was hoping to be able to do a live stream, but by the time I had a flight canceled. It put me into Louisville a little bit later, and then I had to meet up with Jason and Karen and Trevor, for the Tuesday night stuff. So by the time we got down there and got settled and ate, it was way past that time. So apologize for that. So, but yeah, we ultimately had a great time Tuesday night and and into Wednesday, obviously. So it was an awful lot of fun. So those day and a half or 2 days went by super quick, but we'll kind of get into some of that. So all right, let me go back in the chat a little bit and just say hi to a few people, and thanks everybody for joining tonight. Greatly appreciate it, and hopefully you've all got your Makers, whatever it is that your favorite is to sip on. Hopefully you've got that poured and ready to go. So, all right, first up, Trevor Conkle. How's it going, Trevor? Good to see you. Roy, how's it going? Roy R does things. Robert Lee, how are you? Hopefully the wife still has some Makers, and hopefully you've switched over to some Makers as well. So let's see. Aiden, how's it going? Peter B, Top Dog, good to see you again. It's been a little while. Johnny T, good to see you, John. What else we got here? Karen B Ford, I was just talking about Karen. So Karen was with us on the Makers pick last week. So that was a ton of fun. Mr. Ritter doing some bourbon work for us. Tim Botney. Tim, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. David Babcock, good to see you, David. Peter B, I said before. Dwayne Goolsby. Dwayne, good to see you, buddy. Glad you could make it. Christopher David. Chris, how's it going? I think Jason will be reaching out to you soon in order to talk about finalizing some of the stuff with the website. I know he's ready to go, and I think he's got to run a couple things by you. So he'll be in contact with you here pretty soon. So I already said Tim Corney, how are you doing? Dave Friedman, good to see you. JG, the man, the myth, the legend. Kenny Killingsworth, good to see you. Let's see who else we got. So, all right, I think we're basically caught up. We'll get into some of that stuff here in a second. So, well, anyway, thanks everybody for joining tonight. I think tonight will be a lot of fun. And I think with all of kind of, the fun part about Makers was for so long, it was just, as you guys know, it was their kind of tried and true. They didn't deviate from really much of what it was that they just did, normal. And I think for that part of it, it was nice to finally see these guys kind of change it up a little bit. And I think that's where it all started with the Makers 46. So that was nice to see them kind of get outside of their box. And then they expanded into, their cast strength expression, which maybe they had some of that while they had their regular release that was there. But then the Makers 46 cast strength, now you've got some of the whatever RC6, whatever those were. And then we had, now we get into some of the FAE series from 21. So yeah, they're really starting to, I think, listen and get outside of what it is that they normally, did or do. So what I wanted to do tonight, and again, I don't have all of them. I've got the FAEs. I don't have any of the RC6 or whatever that was. The Makers 101, which I'm a big fan of, and then the Makers 46 cast strength, which again, I'm a huge fan of that as well. But let me back up a little bit. So last week, Tuesday, as a lot of you guys are familiar, myself, Jason, Trevor, Wilson, the Bourbon Wrench, Karen B. Ford, we're all down in Kentucky for a Makers private select. So we're super excited. Long story short, things went really, really well. Makers is first class. I mean, all the way with everything that they did. DC, my brother, good to see you. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, if you haven't been to Makers, I would highly encourage you to go there. Just experience the grounds, you know, and know a little bit more of that history, because what it is that they've done is simply incredible. So, you know, while we were there, this was kind of cool. Part of it, and I'll kind of back up a little bit here, but part of the whole thing was, while we're there, we're having lunch, and lo and behold, who walks in? You know, Mr. Samuels Jr., and the nicest guy. I mean, just in terms of what he and his wife have done to grow that brand, and then now what his son is continuing. I mean, it was unbelievable. He gave us, you know, all the time we wanted. It was just an absolutely incredible experience from beginning to end. So let me back up before we kind of get into some of the whiskeys a little bit. So Tuesday night, myself, Jason, Trev, Karen, and Karen brought a really nice private select, or a bottle that her and her husband actually got from the distillery. I think going back to, and again, if Karen's in here, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was either 2017 or 2018. And what an absolutely delicious bourbon that was. I would say hands down. Ed, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully you had a good time at the Bastards Ball. So that pick, I mean, honestly, I would have to say, of the Makers picks that I've had, or just Makers in general, it was hands down for me one of the best ones I ever had. So yeah, okay, so here's what it was: the 2018 Winter Blend. What a fantastic bourbon that was, and we were all going crazy. If we didn't have to get up as early as we had to on Wednesday morning, we probably would have polished that bottle off. But I think if we would have done that, that would have been probably a big mistake. And it was already fairly late by the time we ended up going to bed anyway. So the alarm felt like it went off pretty early. So yeah, if anyone's ever had that 2018 Winter Blend, then you know exactly what that was like. So yeah, we sat down in the lobby after we had some dinner over at O'Shea's, and yeah, went back to the kind of the lobby bar area at the Omni, which is a great hotel, and that's where we all stayed there. And yeah, we sat down there, kind of shot the shit for it must have been at least, you know, 2 or 3 hours would be my guess. And yeah, we had a great time. We were sipping on some of that 2018 Winter Blend. And again, you just had to really pump the brakes on that, or you could have plowed right through it. It was such a delicious whiskey. So John Kranz, how's it going, John? Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, so we did that. And yeah, so we went to bed, obviously, got up the next morning fairly early, and really started the whole day just I mean, everything that we did with Makers was, again, just first class. You know, had some quick little breakfast, got on the bus, went out to the Makers property, which if you've been there, then you know what it's like getting there. It feels like you're never going to get there. And it was one of those things where we never got down the infamous road that is, I'll swear to God, it is no bigger than a golf cart path. We didn't go down that one, thank God. But everybody who's been there probably at some point has gone down that road. And it's a crazy road because it's technically a two-way road. But what they say is, and sometimes semis come and go from this road. And if you somehow meet up with this semi, they can't back up. You are forced to back up, and there is nowhere to go on either side. So you back up as far as you can go until you come across I don't know, someone's driveway, but there's not very many houses on this. So, I mean, you could back up, I mean, a half or 3/4 of a mile before you ever even see a driveway or anywhere. So it's a fun road. And it's, yeah, like Trevor said, that road, it's like a driveway. I don't even know if it's as wide as a driveway, maybe like a single car driveway, but it's it's an absolutely crazy road. And I think anytime you start to talk about the road to Makers, anybody who, again, has ever been on that knows exactly what that road is. So this time we didn't go down it. We took a different way, which still felt like forever to get to Makers. But in the end, it's all totally worth it. So we had a great time there. So yeah, then we get to Makers, and then we kind of started out, again, just getting a little bit of the history. They were talking a little bit about what, Bill Samuels Jr. and all of that, and his wife, kind of what they've essentially built this brand into nowadays. And I mean, what a incredible, gentleman he was while we were there. And it, started out with, again, some of the grounds tour, kind of seeing some of the property. And again, per kind of Karen B Ford, and I wasn't really aware of this before, but apparently they do a really nice Christmas event on the grounds. So, I guess kind of food for thought if anybody's ever in the area around Christmas. I guess that's something to go check out. So I'll look into doing that at some point. But so yeah, we get in there, do a little tour of the grounds. They kind of show us, really the rick house, all the rick houses, the different buildings where all the Makers 46 is stored, which is basically carved into the side of this mountain with all this natural limestone. It's naturally cool in there, and it's where they basically have all of the Makers 46 stored. So it's dedicated to that, Makers 46 line period. And it was a great building. And then that's one side of it. Then the other side, or within that area, there's kind of just a little walkway and then all the barrels. And then on the other side of that, there was this fantastic room full of Makers private select picks. And that was the room we all went into in order to do our pick. And as far as, you call it like blending, and it wasn't so much, well, it was a little bit, but if you're somehow not totally familiar with like the stave process, we basically had a pool of 10 staves, and we had 5 different selections. So we could divvy it up any way we wanted to in terms of our recipe. And that's ultimately what we did. We went back and forth. We would change out, one different stave for another, stave. And it ultimately ended up being to the point where, you don't think like just changing one can make that big of a difference, but it literally made all the difference in the world. So I think we ended up with an absolutely fantastic blend. We got to see them basically put all our staves together. I just posted something on Instagram a little while ago about, kind of showed the stave process, but all the staves we chose, put them on this big ring, put it in the barrel, and then they'll fill it with basically the Makers cast strength. They have one recipe, 70% corn. I think it's 16% winter wheat, and then like 14% malted barley. So fairly high on the malted barley side, but that's it. That's what they've got. They keep it absolutely, simple, and it's tried and true. I mean, they've done it for God only knows how many years, a lot of years. So anyway, so we ended up in one of the rick houses. We got to thief from a Makers, cast strength barrel to kind of give us an idea of what our base and everything was going to be like. So if you've been in a rick house, you know that smell. But when you have the opportunity to try whiskey right from the barrel and sip on it in that rick house with people that you want to be there with, it's an absolutely, incredible experience. It's just unlike anything else. Just a fantastic experience. So yeah, we got to do that for a little while, get a base, kind of start to get a little more understanding of really the maker's way and the maker's process. And it's a very family oriented business, and they run it that way. And I mean, everyone is passionate. They care about everything that's going on. And you guys will see there will be some videos that we put together for kind of the maker's experience. Like overall, we were able to do a couple of Jason and I think Trev today released their FAE 01 and 02 kind of comp videos. So go check those out if you haven't already. So so the sugar, 70 corn, 16%, it's some kind of wheat. I thought it was like a winter wheat or something, and 14 barley. So yeah, fairly high. But so that was kind of where we then got to go into this room, do our own blend. I mean, we must have been in there for easily, I don't know, it was probably a couple of hours. It felt like for forever, but in a good way. So we had a fantastic time. Myself, Jason, Trev, Karen, we all balanced a lot of different things off, tried different recipes, things that were working, things that weren't, and things that we thought were going to work didn't work. So yeah, we probably went through, I don't know, maybe 7-ish kind of blends. So that part was fun in terms of trying to get the staves to the point where we ended up with what we all truly wanted. So no, we didn't get to try. I mean, the only thing we really got to try was, so a couple of things, that like chocolate mocha stave, and then the new one, like the mandelier or what mandolin, I don't know, I forget the name of it. Somebody can tell me what it was. Mandalay, I don't know. And we kind of asked them like, hey, we've heard that it was the same, and they were like very quick to tell us, no, it's nothing like it. And they gave us just a little bit of what that stave was, and it was night and day. They are not the same stave. So anybody who tells you that stave, that chocolate mocha stave is the same as the as that, like whatever mandolin, or I forget what the hell the name of it was, something like that. It's not. Very, very different from each other, but both delicious in their own way. I think I called it like the Mandalorian. Yeah, that's what I get. DC, that's what I kept calling it the whole time, the Mandalorian. It's the only thing I could like remember, obviously. So this is the way, exactly. So yeah, we went back and forth on a couple of different things, and ultimately ended up with a blend. We tried it. We tried them. Mendiant. There you go, Karen. So we got to try ultimately our blend. If we wanted to tweak it one way or another, we could, but they were very accommodating in terms of allowing us to really craft what it was. And they interjected a lot in terms of, kind of leading us, down the right path, because I think sometimes when you're in your mind, you think a particular stave is going to do something, where they are kind of the experts in knowing, what those staves can do. They would kind of allow us or tell us, maybe you don't want to do this, maybe you want to try that. And we would try some of these things, and it ended up being absolutely fantastic. And it's really one of those whiskeys that I'm super excited to be able to do for the Patreon community. So that will be a ton of fun. So was really happy that we were able to get all of that done. And again, just to Makers, first class organization. I'm glad, really super glad that we were all able to do it and share the experience with a couple of great people, Trev and Karen. So that was awesome. So, all right, I've rambled on, I think enough. So let me see in the chat. Let me see what you guys are sipping on and why. And is Makers your thing? And if not, that's fine as well. But I'm always interested to hear kind of like of the Makers lineup now, what people kind of gravitate towards. So I'll say hi to a few other people. Dustin, how's it going? Good to see you, buddy. We got JG is in there. Jules, good to see you. Glad you could pop in. Good to see you as always. Bob and Doug. All right, good to see you, buddy. Let's see, what do we got here? So they don't think of themselves as no, they're like I guess they're like I would say like the classy kind of place. I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, Beams obviously, maybe a little rougher around the edges. I mean, not to talk bad or say anything bad, but again, the way that things are at Makers, it's done their way, and they let you know that this is the way it's done and why, and they want people to be there sharing their stuff. So let's see. All right, good call. Can't go wrong with the old Makers pick. Makers 101, got that in my the new Peugeot glass. If anybody hasn't seen this, got some of these things not long ago. I'll be doing a little kind of a glass review. I think it might be the new glass that a lot of people are going to want. I'll kind of explain that in a little bit here. But what else we got here? Well, you can't go wrong with this, D. Jonesy, sipping on some Rob Samuel's Private Selection. Jesus, that's gotta be a good one. Troy, my man, Popham, how's it going, buddy? Yes, Makers is killing it. That's for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, you got you got yours already. So the ECBP. Hopefully, Jason and I were just talking, not to get off on another subject or anything, but Jason and I were just talking about, we think it's even better than what we remembered. So I think as that thing opens up in that bottle, it's going to get even better. So Johnny boy, you can't go wrong with the Makers 46 cast strength Ace Spirits pick. All right. Nice to see. Bourbon of the week. Good to see you. Hey, if anybody hasn't checked him out, go check out his channel. He's doing some really fun things. So good to see you. All right, what do you got, JG? It's not a rocks glass or a decanter, neither one. So this right here, that's the Peugeot. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. So what do we got here? Oh, you got the old the Halloween smoke wagon. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, so it is a whiskey factory. There's nothing that's warm and fuzzy about Beam. That's for sure. So, what do we got here? What's top dog? 67% Makers cast, 33% Larceny. Oh, you got your own blend going. Okay, that's cool. Always love to see that. Eddie, what do you? Oh no, that's not it. What's And obviously, if you guys haven't checked out the Rock Out review, I mean, come on, what are you waiting for? So, big fan of Makers, but I wasn't that big on the FAE one. We'll kind of get into that a little bit. So, I think there's probably a reason a little bit for that. So, what do we got here? Peter B killing some Rebel. All right, nothing wrong with that. Sugar Kitty, definitely a Makers 101 fan. I think for them, when they released that 101, I think again that was another one of those really smart decisions. I mean, I think it's a really good proof. It's right in that wheelhouse of what a lot of people like from a really nice maker. So you can't go wrong. I mean, when I tried it, it's very good. It's sweet, but very good. All right, what's this guy have to say? Let's not forget who's blend. Look at this guy. I'll tell you, here he comes. Somebody's got to get that guy the old timeout here. Where's that FAE 02? I've got that here. I think that's last. We'll be going through. And yes, just to touch on it, yeah, he put a quick little blend together at the end, which I think ultimately ended up being the one that everybody decided they liked the best. So I think it switched up one or two staves, and it was as easy as that. One quick little thing changed everything. So let's see, what do we got here? Yes, definitely. Nobody stopped being awesome. That's for sure. What else we got here? Jeff says, really dig Makers 46, the 101 and cast strength. Yeah, so you kind of nailed them all. You kind of sounds like you're a Makers fan as well. So nothing wrong there. Oh, interesting. Okay, so as a bartender, you enjoyed mixing the Makers 46 cast strength. So yeah, I can see with the flavor profile of that. Now that could become probably a fairly stiff cocktail. So nothing wrong with that at all. So what else we got here? I think that's it for right now. Marty, good to see you, buddy. Okay, and then one other quick thing. So I don't know if Jason posted it or not, but at not the end of this stream, but I think when we get to about 10 Eastern, we are going to do a patron only live stream where we share whatever picks you guys have and you want to drink them. Then we're game for that. We wanted to put a little thing together. So hey, Clory, get a thing over there so we can get that thing shared if you haven't already. So anyway, okay, so let me get into my old Peugeot glass. So as you guys can see, it's kind of cool because it's very similar to the a Glencairn a little bit larger, but the bottom, as you can see, there's kind of like this indentation which fits over this metal plate, which you can see that kind of a little bit of a bump in there that you can then put in the freezer. And if you want to chill your whiskey, you can that way without having to worry about ever putting stones or any of that other kind of crap in there. That way it can stay chilled, and the metal thing, naturally is going to want to stay cold for quite some time. You don't ever have to touch that metal piece, so you're not going to warm it up with your hand. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Now I just got those maybe 3 weeks ago, so I'll do a video on those, and I think they're definitely worth picking up. It's very similar to a Glen, little larger, but the base, as you guys can see, it's almost like a beaker, to be honest, if anybody remembers science class. But there's this little indentation in here, and you can move the whiskey around in it a little bit easier. So it allows it to kind of almost aerate or open up a little bit better. So no, stick my tongue in it. No, it's not like that. So what do we got here? Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. Thanks for the support. What else we have here? Thank you, sir. Okay, so yeah, so it's a pretty cool glass. So I think when I do the review, I'll ultimately have some links and stuff to it. I think a lot of you guys will truly appreciate a glass like that in terms of what I think it does. So, but yeah, you can't go wrong with the tried and true Glencairn and all that. There's a little funky things. You can maybe do a little bit something different, but for people who want something chilled and maybe you don't want to put ice or something in it, I think it's a really nice alternative to whiskey stones and those like little metal pieces and all that other. I'm not a fan of that stuff. So anyway, all right. So let's first start out with the Makers 101. I've got it in that too, but I was going to do like a blind, but I'm like, I just got lazy and didn't want to put the damn stickers all over the thing. Plus I was a little pressed for time. So yeah, the Makers, I mean, it's just so sweet. Again, you'd always get like a little bit of that corn kind of aspect that's there, but really nice kind of like honey, almost like a cornflake nose and stuff on that. And that's one of the things I kind of get with some of these Makers picks is a little bit of like that, not quite grain, but more of like almost like a little bit of like a cornflake aspect. Yeah, Russell's 13 is absolutely delicious. So yeah, anyway, the Makers 101, I think I was really excited when they first came out with this, that I just felt like, outside of the regular Makers pick, which again, for me, probably more, and you guys as well, probably more of a cocktail whiskey. I mean, you can sip on it, I think, as well. And it's probably good kind of from that standpoint. And it definitely has its place in the kind of like that category from the weeded standpoint. I think for what it has to offer, the price point on something like this, when you can find them, they came and went pretty quickly, but then they started kind of popping up a little bit more. And I think it's become one of those things where, you can find it a little bit more available. So you guys can let me know if you see the Makers 101 at all. But very sweet, caramely, you know, all that nice kind of like doughy aspect that's there. A little bit of light oak, some cinnamon, more of like a nutmeg. Very, very nice bourbon. Man, it's just so, you know, that proof on it is really nice as like kind of like a daily, you know, weeded bourbon. For me, it's probably one of my honestly favorite ones. I mean, I would prefer this honestly over, I would say, just about any of the Weller line. Now, maybe for me, the 107, not a huge fan of the Weller 12, to be honest. I think it gets a little bit more hype than it's kind of worth. But for me, the 107 is probably the sweet spot in the Weller lineup. The Reserve, you know, nice 90 proofer, easy sipping, weeded bourbon. But for me, you know, I would gravitate, I think, towards the Makers, you know, 101 quite a bit. So the 46 too. I don't have an actual bottle of the standard Makers 46. I thought I had one downstairs, but I don't have one. And again, that's probably within this kind of same-ish kind of category, a little bit different, obviously, with the staves and everything that they do with that. So again, it makes that a very kind of daily type of weeder as well. So, all right, Reader, what do you got for me? Where does the Maker's Pick experience rank with all the others you've done? Good question. Man, I'll tell you what. Honestly, it's probably the best. I mean, I think up until the Maker's Pick, I think the experience we got to kind of do at Wilderness Trail was a lot of fun because they let us kind of have, you know, full reign within one of the rick houses where all the rye whiskey was stored. And it was just a great day. We were again with great people, brew bakers we were with. And it was just one of those things where the experience of being able to, you know, drill into a barrel and get something, you know, directly from the barrel and try it and share that experience. That was probably, you know, it's kind of 1A and 1B, but you know what Makers kind of rolls out. I mean, it's going to be really difficult to beat, you know, that experience. And I mean, just overall what it was just an absolutely incredible day. So, you know, and it makes it, you know, and maybe at the time it makes some of the whiskey taste a little bit better based on the experience. But man, I'll tell you, it's just everything that they did and their facility. There was nothing that they skimped on at all. Lunch was fantastic. And then we went to dinner. I mean, it was just a great experience. So I think for me, hands down, the Makers experience has been my favorite one. So, all right, let's touch on this one real quick. Which is nicer, Remus, 3 or 5? For me, 5. Some people will argue. I think 3 and 5 are very comparable, but for me, I love how 5 is developing, but they're very, very close. So, Brian, you can't go wrong with either one. What's this guy have to say? The Bourbon Ranch, freaking Trev hitting Scott in his HD fate. Tell you, I think this guy's been drinking already. Swear. No, we had a good time. So Trev was a Brewers fan. He was a Braves fan. I'm a Brewers fan. Things didn't go as well as I was hoping for the Brewers. So needless to say. Darrell, good to see you, buddy. Hey, Scotty, the trip sounded like a great time. I got some tours in the works and I can't wait. So yeah, hopefully if that's one of the tours you're going to be doing, highly encourage it. I think you'll have an absolutely fantastic time there. You know, even if you're not doing a pick, I think just being there and them sharing that experience will be awesome. So good. Glad to hear you're doing that. What else we got here? All right, what was it? Someone said something about maybe a bad batch. I don't know if that had anything to do with the Remus or whatever, but How's it going, Oz? Good to see you in here. I feel like we can always stray away from Makers, but we always come back to Makers. Proves it every time. Yeah, I mean, it's just tried and true. I mean, a lot of that stuff is from what they do, and now them expanding beyond their just kind of normal lineup. I think it's fantastic. So, but again, going back to the 101. I think as an everyday, kind of, weeded bourbon, I think at 101 proof, it kind of makes that. I don't think it quite drinks like 101 proof, which is, I guess, kind of nice, unless you are looking for, that big proof. Yes, definitely lick the that like button. That would be fantastic if you guys would just lick away. Yep, Waxter, saw you. Looked like you had a great time. Saw you guys were at Keeneland looking all sharp in your digs. Looked like you guys had a great time. What else we got here? Richie, good to see you always, buddy. No, that's one of the only ones that I don't have. Richie, I don't have any of that RC6 or whatever. So I've heard great things. There's not many people, to be honest, that I hear that don't totally like, Makers. I mean, there's just something about it. It's just so easy to drink. All of them. They make everything that they have kind of easy to drink. There's never anything that's overly off-putting about it or anything along those lines. So, I mean, I guess I would question like what it is about Makers that someone didn't like, and maybe it's a weeded thing or a malted barley thing. I'm not exactly sure. Timmy, how's it going? Good to see you, buddy. What do we have here? Hey, Jim, how's it going? Been on that road. Someone said it was called the Hillbilly Way In. Luckily, you didn't run into anyone. Yeah, that road that we were talking about before is a brutal road. So, yeah, I think a lot of people probably started, Matt, with the Maker stuff, readily available and all of that. So, yeah, Flavor Vision. Yeah, that's kind of like their profile. I mean, they've got kind of some of their own slang and everything, and it was really crazy as to how involved the process. Like if we go, I guess ahead a little bit to like the FE series, FEA, which is or FAE, fatty acid esters, which essentially is what's allowing for all of those flavors to remain in the whiskey without them chill filtering, all of that. That's what kind of allows it to be thick and creamy and all of that. And that process, if anybody saw Jason's video that he did the other day with the FAE series, he kind of explained it really, really well. That that whole process from the start to when that thing ultimately ends up in a bottle, it's several years. I mean, it could be 2, 3, 4 years of them going through that process just to get to what that is. So they were talking about like that FAE, the 01 and 02, ultimately started approximately 3 years prior of them developing all of this. And it's just a crazy process when you hear the amount of time. It's not as simple as just, aging a bunch of whiskey in a barrel, dumping a bunch of stuff, blending it and calling it a day. There's so much more that goes into all of that. And the passion and the experience of the people at Makers, you can totally tell. We're thinking, what were we told? Maybe first part of November. Or no, not November. Excuse me. First part of like March. I'm sorry. So yeah, I thought based on the timing it was going to be maybe February, but they said maybe the first part of March. So right as we get into spring, our pick should be available at that point. So which I think all of us are totally looking forward to. I think, let's see. All right, Karen, what do you got? I picked up a bottle of their toasted marshmallow when we were there in the gift shop. It is very good. If any tours this fall, it's worth a try. Yeah, they had some of that. So they had some things. That's probably a good point. I'm glad Karen brought that up. There were a lot of different things that they had at the gift shop. So I think if anybody went now, or, maybe at just about any other time, they've always got some different expressions, some different, cast strength things or different profiles. So that's one cool thing with that stave process. They can create, a million different kinds of profiles of things. So I think if you go to Makers, it's a good way to really pick up, 2, 3, 4 different kind of expressions and have something that's going to be very different and unique. So that was one thing. I'm glad Karen brought that up, because when we were there, they had this whole coming in hot, too little handsy. I'm accused of the Happy Hands Club here. So, but yeah, you can always get some different things. They had this one series. I think you had to buy all 4 of them, and I thought it was like maybe $400, $450. So, but you had to buy all 4 of them. But outside of that, there were some other really cool things. So, what's Ed say? Yes, I love that. Just Flava Flav. Yeah. All right. So, all right, let's move on to, so here we're going to get into the FAE series. So I actually just recorded my video. I haven't edited it yet, so I got to still do that little bit behind. But so we did the review of the FAE 02 and kind of threw in a little comp of the 01. And up front, they're very similar, or fairly similar, I should say, but in overall complexity, and I think maybe a little bit more of the richness kind of comes out in 02 a little bit more. It was very apple caramel cinnamon. So like that cinnamon apple caramel pie or something, whatever that may be. It was very much that. So, but very, very good. And then and again, it started out a little fruity, but for me, like 01, the spring release in 21 was more on the fruity side. I think they said, what did they say about that one? I think they said, yeah, so the FAE 01, which was the 10 virgin toasted American oak staves, they went full out on that. They didn't even monkey around with that. It said something about, fruit forward. So that was one of the things with that. It was very upfront, very, very fruity, and still complex, but I wouldn't say it was as complex as 02 was. I think 02 just had a little bit more substance to it. So if that helps, and you're looking, you have the option of 1 or 2, my thought was 02 just had a little bit more something. Now, with that said, you can't go wrong with either one of them. Both are fantastic. I mean, I like 02, I think, so much that there's a good chance it's going to factor into, my whiskey of the year. We get into all of these, chasing of these other bourbons, and you can go to Makers and find this stuff sitting on a shelf for days and days. I mean, they did, I think, just release this not that long ago, but still, to be able to go to the distillery and pick that bottle up now, for as good as that whiskey is, it's absolutely crazy that that's still there, and people chase after, Blantons and all this Weller shit and all that. These blow that stuff away by far. Not even a comparison. So, not to tell anybody they're right or wrong, but in terms of overall complexity and what this is, hands down for me, this is a way better way to go. So, all right, let's get into the FAE 01. Yeah, see, it's very fruity. Nice kind of chocolate notes, nice wood notes. And I think as you get into 1, maybe there's a little bit more of that kind of like marshmallowy, but very, very sweet, kind of light dark fruits on 01. There's just something that's a little bit light on 01 when you're comparing it to 02. Man, it's just so good. Again, a little more honey on that one too. Definitely some cinnamon. That nice, just kind of that nice wheat aspect that's there. That really kind of shines. Maybe some like light leathers, a little maybe light tobacco in 01. But still very, for me, very kind of like summer fruit dominant. So you get into kind of like some of those like, I don't know if it's like necessarily like a citrus, but it's not an overly dominant fruit, but very kind of bright and fresh is what I get with the FAE 01. Fantastic. Yeah, I guess let me know in the chat if you guys are or are not fans of the FAE series, and or more of a fan of one or two. So good. Glad to see that the Dodgers are going to hopefully be eliminated. I'd be a huge fan of that. What's Josh say? Joseph Magda cigar blend. I try to savor it and don't drink that much. Might be my favorite bottle. Can't go wrong with cigar blend. That's a fantastic one. So, but yeah, I'm a fan of 01, just not as much of a fan of one as I am of the 02. I just think the overall kind of complexity of one just seems to be a little bit more there. So yeah, I mean, the wood finish, you can't go wrong. I mean, that's one of the things where, again, I think these by far are still all whiskeys that, I mean, I think people should be going after these things. I mean, I'm kind of glad that they don't. I mean, it kind of seems to fly a little bit under the radar, kind of. I mean, the fact that you can go to the distillery right now and probably buy, I mean, I got 1 and 2. So they had the FAE 1 and 2 there, and Jason shipped them back to me. Actually, he sent it was apple juice, not bourbon. But yeah, so we got 1 and 2. I mean, you're talking about the spring release of the 01. I mean, for it to just be sitting there at the distillery is crazy. And then like at the same time, Buffalo Trace, you can go down there and you can't even find friggin' Buffalo Trace. Like it's ridiculous what people chase after and why. So yeah, so when you see the 02, Chris, you're definitely going to want it. I think when you can kind of do a little oh, hang on here. Let's see, make an appearance. There's the little buddy, the little brewmaster. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, so when you can find 02, you're gonna definitely want that one. So yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. You're just being a little bit more like picky of the two. It's just kind of being a little nitpicky, which is fine. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, Brewman Chew live and in person. Brewer sighting. Yes, he is, Kitty. You two don't fight. Okay. What do we say? That bottle looks like a doorstop. Oh, that's good. It looks like a doorstop. That's good. That's funny. Yeah, so I think you guys will really dig the FAE 02. You know, I'll be interested. I always think I think when we all do our videos and you kind of do again that little comp, you know, you always like to hear people's feedback as to, you know, what it is that each person likes and why. And again, it's all subjective. No one's ever wrong. It's just interesting to hear people's feedback on that. Yeah, see, with 02, it's just deeper. Like there's this richness that you don't get immediately on 01. There's more of that. Oh, Dan, really, really sorry to hear that. So yeah, Brewer he just turned 14. So we're hoping that he can hang on. He's pretty healthy outside of his seizures and stuff, but he's a great little dog. So yeah, sorry to hear about the loss of your guy Guinness. That's an awesome name. But yeah, there's just something about 02 that deeper, richer, sweet oak, more of those like caramels. And again, I think it's still a lot of that honey, that like apple cinnamon, that doughiness. So you get kind of like an apple cinnamon pie type of aspect, that green apple. Really, it's just there's that richness that it has. Again, really nice rich caramel notes. The baking spice on it. It's just very, I think 02 is very layered, which is something that you really kind of appreciate. It's something when we do picks and everything that I start to kind of dive into a lot of that, the richness and the complexity and how layered a bourbon is. So that's one thing when I'm selecting, things, or I'm going through it, I'm looking for that. And Jason kind of looks for a little bit of the different things. So this is where we kind of complement each other. Of course, he wants richness and complexity and all that, but still, it's something I kind of have a benchmark for what it is that I look for, especially in these picks. So when we do these, we have something that's going to be not only unique, but still have all of those rich balance characteristics of a really, really good bourbon. This is always one of the craziest things about live streaming is where other people are in the world. And I think you're going to have to remind me again where you were, but clearly wherever it is, it's nowhere near me, considering it's morning wherever you are. So let us know where you're at. I'd appreciate that. So yeah, definitely, Jonesy, definitely that like green apple, citrus, nice spice, nice oak. Yeah, it's totally caramel apple pie for sure, with that nice sweet oak that's there. Maybe even a little bit of definitely some of those dark fruits kind of come out. And this, I've had these open now for the whole time we've been here. So I mean, these things have sat out now for almost an hour, and unbelievable. There's my brother, the Bourbon Wrench. Trev, how's it going, my man? Hey, I'm glad to see your Braves are kicking the crap out of the Dodgers. If they're going to beat the Brewers, then I'll become a Braves fan. So yeah, FAE02 for me is just the richness, the complexity, everything I want in a really nice, well put together bourbon. And it's just, for me, the 2 is just, it's creamier, more dense, mouth coating, that caramel apple pie, cinnamon, nutmeg, all those baking spices, sweet oak. It's just very well put together. That creamy, like Werther's aspect that's there to it. Nice kind of lingering cinnamon note. More of that like really nice kind of like quality cinnamon, not like some nasty like Fireball. Not to like poo-poo the shelf turds or anything. I know they're sponsored by Fireball, for Christ's sake. So, but yeah, I don't know. For me, the FAE02, it's just something that I like a lot about it. And I would imagine most people are probably, if you had or got the 01, you probably should start to see the 02 like literally anytime now. So I think you'll man, I just, hey, here's the thing, Big Vic. I think for a team that spends, whatever it is, $300 million, you naturally, I think it's the same thing with the Yankee effect. People just, outside of the people who live there, there's not many people I think that are going to be rooting for the Dodgers. I mean, they should be in this situation when you can buy, all of these guys and you should be good, and somebody else comes in and then kind of kicks the shit out of them. I'm perfectly fine with that, and I think that's the nice balance of baseball, kind of in a nutshell. It's these teams are given the freedom to spend as much money as they want, and they do. And when you don't win something, I think people are okay with that. And it's natural. I mean, that's the way it was for the Patriots for the longest time. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with the salary part of it, but when you dominate things for so long, people are kind of sick and tired of that. So anyway, but yeah, we almost duked it out there at O'Shea's. This guy was he was getting on my goddamn nerve, I'll tell you. He was testing it. No, I'm just kidding. We had a good old time when we were in Kentucky, all of us. So, but anyway, all right. So you kind of got I didn't want to give away all of what I was doing with the video, even though a couple of guys already did it with Jason and Trev. So if you haven't watched them and you want to know a little bit more, get a little different perspective, go check their videos out. I know they're both out now. Now here's the Makers 46 cast strength. So before I even got into the wood series, like the cast strength, I think I ended up picking up, this is maybe going back a few months ago now. I got it at Costco. I don't know, it was maybe $60 or something like that. I think it was somewhere around there. And I was super excited because normally we don't see much of the 46 cast strength. So when I saw one, it was the first time I'd actually had it, picked it up, tried it a little bit, went back to get another one, gone. And it was my mistake. So, but yeah, this is very much, this is like got its own profile. There's still a lot of that sweetness that's there to it. Much more of a toasted aspect. There's a little bit more of that creamy caramel, maybe a little bit of like a marshmallow, nice sweet oak. There's also a little bit of like a sassafras or like a root beer kind of note to it. But the 46 is, man, it's a great, I mean, the 46 is good, but the cast strength that we all appreciate, I mean, it is just absolutely fantastic. So, and then one other thing before I forget, I don't know if Jason did it or not yet, but I think he's going to post it, and I'll post it shortly on my Patreon. After this, maybe in another hour, I think actually we'll do a live Patreon only, and we're going to be discussing some of our picks that we've done. We want to share the stuff with you guys. I guess a quick, shameless little plug, if you guys want to become, part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, we'd love to have you. I know with our last pick, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof that we did, I know some people weren't overly happy with kind of everything. But again, with the amount of patrons, and we were only able to get one barrel, which netted roughly 140-ish bottles. We weren't going to be able to get them to everybody. So that was when we released it to the higher tiers. That's just kind of how it worked out. But trust us when I say, we've got other really fantastic, whiskeys coming your way. So, hang in there. I know people are, naturally, when you can't get something, you're a little disappointed. And trust me, we get it, but, we're trying to do what we can to appease as many people as possible. So, but we enjoy what it is we've been doing. And, yeah, we thank everybody, all the Patreon community, you guys as well, for all of the support. It's greatly appreciated. So, all right, so we're at almost an hour. I know the junkies are already going, but I don't interfere with what they've got going on. So, yeah, that 46, just that, that sweet, rich caramel vanillas. It's very kind of like almost I don't want to say a standard type of wheated bourbon nose, but you can tell there's that kind of a toasted aspect to it. There's a little bit of that like marshmallow creaminess. I don't want to say like smoke or anything. I don't think it's that. It's all much more of like a s'mores kind of aspect on the 46. That's more of the profile I get, more of a s'mores aspect. Yeah, it's very, very good. We do have more of these. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if I can see some of the. We've got a little bit of those coming, I think, in first part of November, and some of the Kenzies. So I know a lot of people were asking about the Mash and Journey Kenzie glasses. So those are coming. If you guys are interested, you can send myself or Jason a message, and once they come in, we can get those off to you. So there you have it. So we're an hour in. I know we'll be going over on Jason's channel about an hour if he's still doing it. I haven't seen anything pop up yet, but we'll definitely be doing something tonight. What do we got here? So hey, there's nothing wrong. I mean, hey, it's your team. I get that. I mean, and I think you know why people will root against the big dogs. I mean, it's just naturally, it's always been that way. I mean, it's just people, there's the individual people in the hometowns that people like those teams, and that's fantastic to stick behind your team. And then everybody outside of that, likes to see the underdog pull things off. And when you're beating a team like the Dodgers, who are completely loaded and stacked, that's where that part comes in. But I'm a huge baseball fan. So, JG Journey Hawk fan. There you go, baby. Love to hear that. Yep, you got a little s'mores in the glass right there with the old Makers 46. So, all right. So yeah, he posted it. I'll send it over. I'll put it on my Patreon stuff here pretty soon. And really it applies to anything. The last ones, if you had your ECBP, if you were one of the lucky ones and got that, or the Rebel or the Ezra or the bullet picks, we've had a lot of stuff going on, and there's more good things coming. So like I said, hang in there. We've got some really fun and interesting things coming. All right, you made it. Good to see you, Brett. Glad you could make it. You guys are the best. Team Hawk. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Dwayne. Yeah, let's see. What's Matt say? Let's look on the bright side. At least we don't have to cheer. Shots fired. That's good. Yeah, I mean, some of the things that are happening in Colorado, kind of cool with some of those like aspen staves. I've been able to try some of those things, so that's pretty cool. All right, Rishi, what do you got? Mash and Journey picks in 22 should be beyond. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. I mean, right now we're kind of putting together things for 22. Like we're filled up for 21 for everything. And yeah, we're trying to put together some really cool, fun things for that. One other thing that we kind of talked about is this is going to be probably 9 months or a year down the road. We are doing a Mash and Journey collaboration beer. We're trying to figure out. We think it's going to probably be like an Imperial Stout or a what was I thinking of? Not an Imperial Stout. That's probably the one we'll end up doing, but a Scottish ale, which again is another one that's full of flavor. So we're going to be aging that in 4-gate barrels, which held really nice bourbon and tawny port wine. So that's going to be something that you don't get very often. We'll get a select amount of cans that we can then distribute to some of you guys one way or another. And then we're going to do a release at the brewery here in Wisconsin. So if there's anybody at some point, again, this is down the road, if you guys want to do be part of the launch of the beer, we'll set all that stuff up at a later date. But something, again, very different. We want to keep doing some different stuff for you guys, and there's not many whiskey clubs that are doing. There we go. Stout Belly is coming. And that's going to be something really cool. So yeah, we've got we're always trying to kind of push the envelope, do a little bit. You've got still some of the tried and true things, but again, at the end of the day, you you want to be doing and giving you guys something that's different. So again, if you want to be part of all of this, get in on all of it, through Jason's, Patreon, through my Patreon, whatever, both or whatever, it gets you in the club. And I think people who have been part of it so far, we try to get people involved as much as possible. I think a lot of people have been, kind of appreciating a lot of that stuff as well. So how's it going, bud? Good to see you in here. Can't go wrong with the breakfast stout, that's for sure. So yeah, we'll have a nice, I think it's probably going to end up being like a really nice imperial stout. I mean, to fill those barrels that held, tawny port, I don't know. John, it's going to be through Sahala. It's over in Grafton. So a smaller brewery, but he's a wizard. And Matt over there, he's been part of some huge breweries before, and he really, really knows his thing. So we've been over there, the wife and I and some other friends have been over there several times, and he's just always got something different and unique going on. So if for some reason you're in the Wisconsin area, specifically southeastern Wisconsin, Sahala is the brewery to definitely check out. So. All right, what else? You guys got any other questions or anything? So yeah, it'll be stout belly in a can. We're going to probably do 16 ounces. They're not going to be cheap. I mean, the barrels and stuff aren't going to be cheap to get all of that. Plus we're having them shipped here from Kentucky. So, you're still probably looking at, honestly, think about this. Think about what people pay for, like Goose Island. Those are, what, 15, 20 bucks or something or more. These will probably be in that $10 to $13 range for a 16-ounce can. But in today's day and age of those kinds of beers, that's not even crazy. You get a tap beer like that, and it's I don't know what, between $6 and $8 or $9. So hey, Eric, good to see you. Thanks, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm trying. So tonight is actually, I didn't even say anything, but tonight is the first night. So, thanks to everybody for all the support. And it helps with literally everything, not just, whiskey buying and all of that, but the equipment and changing things. And so, thank you, for all of that. We greatly appreciate everything that's contributed, all of us, to what it is we do. So I'm streaming tonight off of a new camera that I just got. So I don't know if it looks any different to you guys or better or whatever it may be, but anyway, it's I'm using my new camera tonight. So I was hoping it would all work, and so far it seems like it. No one said anything. It seems like my lips and all that are in sync and all of that. So it's all a little bit of a work in progress, but it's coming along. But thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. Yep, can't go wrong with Treehouse. More good stuff there. Yeah, we'll let you know. It's probably going to be roughly either like late summer, maybe early fall of next year. So we'll put a little something together. Hopefully, maybe Jason, can come with Kim or something. We can make a full weekend of it. But we'll have a nice little release and stuff. Driftless Glen literally we could get the thing any minute. I was supposed to, again, for some of the Wisconsin guys, we were trying to get from Justin bottles here that we could pick up, but the distributor got a hold of them before he could get them. So unfortunately, we're all going to be in the same boat where our picks from our state have got to go to California and come back to us. I know it sucks, but unfortunately, it's the way it is. Your lighting and background look great. The sound of the video shot. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. So it looks fine on my end, and with the capture card, there's a slight delay. So like if you stare at the video part of it, you'll see a little bit of a delay, but it's not much. As long as you guys don't see that, then that's perfect. So Grafton, Wisconsin, only 6 out. There you go, JG. I will look forward to seeing you next late summer or early part of fall. So thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. Yeah, cameras definitely make a huge difference. So, okay, so maybe you came in late. So for me, O2 of the, if I'm choosing, for me, it's kind of, I don't say hands down, but I really prefer the FAE O2 over the O1. I just think the overall richness and complexity that O2 has to offer is what I kind of like. So, thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Richie, thank you. All right. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Thanks, Eric. Hopefully you had a good time down at the Bastards Ball. It looked like a huge amount of people. I think everybody always seems to have a good time. So yeah, I saw you were all clean shaven. I hadn't seen you in a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, there he was, looking like the baby's ass. The good part of it, you know what I mean? Baby smooth. All right, Chris, what do you got? Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. All right, what's Dart say? Did Maker say anything about next year's limited releases? No, that's one thing. Unless I missed it, I don't remember, and I don't know if Jason's in here right now or not, but I don't remember them talking. They're a little kind of tight-lipped, I think, about that stuff, other than the fact that they're working on things, but they don't really let much out of the bag. So, from that standpoint. So thanks, Richie. Appreciate that very much. So thank you, sir. But yeah, they didn't say a whole lot about the upcoming releases. And again, all of these R's and FAEs, they're all just kind of like their codes for things that they're putting together. So that's always something that's very kind of, held close to the vest, so to speak, is that, they don't want to let, too much of that stuff out. Again, they've been working on these things for years. So by the time it hits the market, again, they've been working on this release for, 3 or 4 years, trying to hone in on exactly what it is that they want. So, so yeah. All right. Anything else from anybody? So yeah, if again, like I said, if, yeah, I don't think they said, I think it was going to pop up here in a second, but yeah, I don't think they were really talking too much about any of the new releases. All right, what does he say though? They didn't say shit. I do think a secret barrel will walk by was finished. Oh yeah, that was something different. So we did see something kind of like off by the stairs or whatever, and it was something very, very different and unique. And I think that was the deal. I think they kind of even said something about don't like record over that way or whatever it was. So that might have been something a little bit different that they were working on. It didn't seem like a lot of barrels, but again, you never know if that's the start to something that they're working on that will ultimately end up being a big release or something. So, all right, Dan. So which one are you referencing? I'm hoping it's worth the price. I trust your judgment. I don't know if that's in relation to something else. I may have missed something. So the Bull Run, no. So the Bull Run is not finished. If I remember, I get so many of these damn things like confused. But yeah, the Bull Run was just going to be, I believe it was like a 13-year-old American whiskey. So which is going to be, I was a bit shocked as to the overall like richness and kind of complexity that it had. So I think once we started kind of going through some of the Bull Run, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know the only Bull Run I had ever had was all finished, and unless I'm completely missing something, the Bull Run was kind of a shocker to me. I was really surprised. So if you're into kind of some of those more like aged American whiskeys, light whiskey, whatever you want to call it, I think you'll dig that one. So, thanks, Brian. Appreciate that very much. for a treat for my pup. So it'll have to be a special treat because the little bastard is allergic to everything. Yeah, he's a handful, I'll tell you, and he is what you would consider not a cheap date from the pet world. I'll tell you that he taxes the old pocketbook, I'll tell you, with all his medication and all that good stuff. So, but you love the little guy. He's been with us for 14 plus years. So, you'll do anything you can for him. So, maybe I missed something about some of this that you guys are talking about. Wouldn't be surprised if 46 places high. I don't know. I'm not doing a blind. I'm just kind of going through some of these. I was just talking a little bit about some of these tonight, but I mean, for me, okay, here, I guess if I was gonna rank these in terms of how I would prefer them. So here would be my order is, I guess I'll go from, let's see. I'll go from, I guess I don't want to say least favorite, but from last to first. I would say last for me would probably be the Makers 101. And again, last is very, very loose in this kind of flight, so to speak. So I'd probably go Makers 101 last. I'd probably go FAE 01 second to last. The Makers 46 cast strength in second place. And then the FAE 02 would be probably my favorite of the bunch. So I really kind of dig what the FAE 02 kind of has to offer. So yeah, I mean, some of these like light whiskeys, I mean, I guess with the Bull Run stuff, I mean, I guess I'd have to like try to remember back. I don't know if Jason's in here or not, but I forget exactly what the mash bill and everything even was with what we were dealing with. Again, a lot of the light whiskeys are super high corn, and I just don't remember off the top of my head what that was. So exactly. So last place, that's one thing in a blind flight, last place does not equal bad. That's for sure. It's just in terms of your preference and how it'll be. And again, not that it would necessarily change. I mean, I think the order of this, because it's not blind, in terms of what I prefer of the bunch, I mean, I just really like what that FAE 02 has to offer. So, what else we got here? Yeah, they're all great in their own right. So, oh yeah, you're talking about Ardbeg. You lost me at that. I have no idea what the hell that is, even though it sounds like sounds peaty. Yeah, I think you guys have gone down the Scotch hole. So, yeah, the Obtainium stuff. I mean, that can be some super high proof stuff. That could also be something that's different and unique that we might have coming again in 22. And then we don't have the order for anything right now. We're trying to get things secured and doing picks. Jason and I, we were just talking and going through a couple things that we've been working on behind the scenes, trying to get people committed to doing things with us in 22. So we're trying for you guys. That's one thing. So Sherry, good to see you. Our Dolphins aren't doing very good this year. It's pretty much a goddamn train wreck. That organization with some of who they've got in charge, not good. Lifelong Dolphins fan, so I'm used to a lot of losing, unfortunately. All right, so yeah, I mean, guys, unless you guys have some other questions, in about maybe 40 minutes or so, we'll be over on Jason's channel. I'll put a link to that in my Patreon. So if you guys want to jump over there in a little bit and maybe grab some of the Mash and Journey picks, we're happy to sip along. And that was part of the deal, was as we got into some of these and people started to kind of secure some of them, we wanted to get your feedback. I mean, ultimately, we're doing all of this stuff, not because it's just fun for us, which it obviously is, but we want you guys to, and ladies, to enjoy this stuff as much or more than we do. So sometimes I almost feel like we just don't get, from our side of things, we don't get a chance to appreciate it as much as I think you do. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So so I grew up down, I shouldn't say grew up, but I lived down in Florida in my younger years, where football really started to kind of resonate a little bit with me. And I lived in the Tampa Bay area, but at the time the Bucks were like, I mean, they were really bad. And I didn't have any interest in rooting for a losing team, so I kind of gravitated towards Miami. So back in the probably would have been the 80s, once Dan Marino started coming around, they were good, and I liked Dan Marino, and that was kind of how it's all kind of began. So I would say probably in the early to mid 80s, that was kind of when I latched on to Miami, and it's pretty much been a shit show ever since he left in the 90s. So they just can't figure it out. So anyway, so yeah, Marino was my guy. So thanks, Richie. I appreciate that very much. And I've got to say, like, I mean, for everybody, whether you're part of the Patreon community or the whiskey community, I mean, it's just a great group of people to be able to do this, and we all see each other a lot in the chats and in each other's chats. It's an awful lot of fun. So I appreciate all of this very much for what you guys do for all of us. I think I echo that to all the Whiskey Tube people, everyone who supports us, watches the channels, the reviews, live streams, all of that. It's beyond just saying thank you. There's so much more behind that thank you than you guys even know. So so with all of that, we truly appreciate you guys. If you guys didn't show up for these things, we would just be crazy people talking to a camera. So thank God people show up and watch these things. But it's a great community. And I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of what whiskey does. It slows things down. It allows you to have good conversations with great people. And this is what we end up with. And it's absolutely fantastic community. I'm so glad to be a part of it, and I'm glad to see you guys here every week and in the comments of the videos, all of that stuff. So I greatly appreciate all that. Hopefully next summer we'll be able to get a nice meetup put together down in Kentucky. We talked a little bit about doing it this year, but it just still with some of the COVID stuff, lingering, it just wasn't going to work. So hopefully this coming summer, we'll be able to put something up or put something together and get like a really nice event put together, maybe at like Bardstown Bourbon Company, where they can house or host a lot of people and, get people from all over the place, hopefully. So that's what we're hoping to do. So, anyway, so I think that's it. So we've got maybe about a half hour. We'll jump over on Jason's. If you're a Patreon, you can check out the link that Jason posted. I'll put it over on my Patreon page. So if you guys want to grab your picks, we would love to share a nice pour with you guys and just kind of kick back for a little while. We want to hear from you and what you're thinking of them, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it may be. So, yeah. So, I mean, hey, Brett, we're hoping to get as many people as we possibly can. We'll give enough warning to everyone when we finally put it together. And my guess is we'll probably set all that stuff up either like late winter, early spring, so we can get everything kind of geared towards having like good whiskey, a good dinner, really all of that, so that we're ready to go, and people are going to be, coming in from hopefully all over the place. That's what we really want to be able to do. So I guess first and foremost, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Always, I appreciate seeing everybody in here every week. It's kind of become a really fun thing. I wasn't sure if I was going to do all summer a live each Tuesday, but then I just got to the point where when I didn't do one, I kind of missed doing it. And I like seeing everybody and talking and doing all that stuff. So, thanks for being here, tonight on a Tuesday night. I greatly appreciate, everything from you guys. So, all right. So next week, I don't know. I'm trying to put a couple of different things together. Might be doing some stuff here soon with Ethan and Katie Turk. We'll do a little giveaway with some Tennessee tasters, a glass, some fun things like that. And then also trying to work out a couple of other kind of lives with a couple of like distillery people, things along those lines, get some kind of fun things going there as well. So yeah, so I've got, it's always something different, and you want to try to do some different things, but these fun ones like this are always fun to do, and be able to just kind of shoot the shit with everybody and all of that. So thanks everybody for joining tonight. All the super chats, greatly appreciate all of that, the support. Thanks for literally everything, just being you guys. Greatly appreciate all of that. So it's always fun to see a lot of the same people. Fun to see new faces, more people coming into the community. That's always a kind of a nice thing to see as well. So again, one final thing: if you're not part of the Patreon community and part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, and you want to be part of that and what we have going on, there's a link in the description of the video. You can click on that. Anything will get you part of the club. There's some different tiers that allow some different things, but other than that, that's about it. So again, everybody, thank you so much for joining tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday with something. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but it'll be something. And if I just have to talk to you guys for an hour and a half, I'm always fine with that as well. So cheers, guys. Thanks again for, being here, all of that stuff. We will see you guys next Tuesday. Hopefully for some of you, we'll see you over in about a half hour on Jason's channel, and we'll be doing a little Patreon meetup. So cheers, guys, and have a great rest of your week. Oh, one other thing. So before I go, Friday, myself, Jason, Dan from Dusty Dan's Whiskey Review channel, we're going to be out in Maryland. We're going to be going to Sagamore. We don't think we're going to be necessarily doing any kind of barrel pick or anything, but we're going to see how that whole thing goes. So we're really excited to get out to Maryland to check out what Sagamore has going on there. So we'll be doing some recording and all of that. But yeah, it really sounds like Sagamore has really kind of stepped up their game and doing some really fun things. So yeah, we'll be out there starting on Friday. We'll be doing all of that, and yeah, we'll see how that is. We'll fill you in maybe next Tuesday when we get back. So all right, with that being said, thanks guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Cheers.